Carmen, what do you do right before bed?
So we typically, he's been going to bed a lot later lately, but I'm usually asleep by like 12 or 1 every day.
Wait, in the morning?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Wait, like
Doing laundry,
midnight?
Yeah. Cleaning the kitchen. The boys
Damn.
stay up late. So they're like, Mom this, Mom that.
What
They
time
wanna
do you
hang
get
out.
up?
6:30.
So who do you get your cocaine from? Because otherwise, I don't know how you're managing.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Hello, friends.
Wait,
What?
we need to be way more serious than this.
Dude, what is your problem?
This is when we warn people about all of the craziness they may experience by being exposed to our podcast, Mistrial by Fire.
What exactly are you suggesting right now?
Well, first, I think we need some serious sounding music in the background.
Okay, and then what?
That's as far as I got.
Well, then we should tell them what sort of effects they could encounter as a result of our show.
Are you talking about something like side effects?
Exactly.
Genius.
Make sure to consult your physician, life coach, clergy, spouse, real estate agent, or anyone else that might have an opinion about how you live your life before listening to the podcast Mistrial by Fire.
Side effects could include, but are not limited to, sudden bouts of rage, finger cramping due to constantly pausing the show so you can discuss your point, dizziness,
Pulling your car to the side of the road so you can safely laugh, lack of patience due to having to wait a week for the next podcast, appearing crazy while arguing with a show that you know can't hear you.
While listening to Mistrial by Fire, you may find it unsafe to eat or drink, operate heavy machinery, or try to appear attentive to someone else while they explain anything to you.
You may find yourself exposed to profanity, blasphemy, and or triggering events.
Some stories may hit too close to home, making you feel sensitive, defensive, or guilty.
They may cause a wedge between you and your significant other when they refuse to see your point of view.
You might be overwhelmed with adult content, laughter, or the feeling of shock and awe.
This podcast is not intended for listeners under the age of 18. Enjoy.
You are listening to the podcast Mistrial by Fire, brought to you by Uncommon Threads.
I'm Kyoko.
And I'm Eric.
We've been married for over 15 years.
And believe it or not, sometimes we argue.
Those arguments have led to some pretty interesting conversations, and from time to time, we lure our friends and family into getting involved.
We also both share backgrounds working in the criminal justice system.
Mixed those together, and that's where the idea for Mistrial by Fire was born.
We will source stories from the web, or better yet, cover original content sent to us by our listeners.
Typically, we will look for material that Eric and I might have differing opinions on.
Most of the time, guests will be invited to go over the stories with us and ultimately weigh in. On some occasions, it'll be just Kyoko and I.
In a way, Eric and I will present our sides of the argument, similar to opposing sides in court.
Our guests will listen to our perspectives and participate in the discussion.
Ultimately, though, our guests will be expected to take one side or the other. They will essentially deliberate and render a verdict.
All stories will be trimmed down to one specific question of guilty or not guilty. That question will be identified and made clear.
Our guest jurors can agree on guilty or not guilty, in which case applause will be heard and all will be right in the world.
But if they can't agree on a verdict, then we will declare a hung jury. If someone refuses to pass judgment, well, that's considered a mistrial.
And a sad trombone sound will fill the air.
Also, sometime during the middle of the show and during the conclusion, we will tell you how to write into the podcast with your content.
If we use your content, we'll send you some merch, but those details will come later, so stay tuned.
And that's it. That's all there is to it.
So again, thank you for being here, and thank you for listening to Mistrial by Fire. We hope you enjoy the show.
Welcome back, everybody. We are so glad you're here, and we are so glad that we have two extra special guests tonight. Yes.
Very excited.
All right. And I'm going to let them introduce themselves. So we're going to start over here with Carmen.
Hi, my name is Carmen.
It looks like you brought Uncle Lou with you.
I did.
All right. Then just for the listeners, to be clear, this is not your uncle. This is just a nickname, Uncle Lou. But this is a couple. Yes?
Yes, correct.
Okay. All right.
That's correct.
Uncle Lou, tell us a little bit about you.
I work for the government. I do contracts and stuff like that for training programs for other government agencies.
Okay. Until you said training programs, it sounded kind of like you kill people for a living.
I mean, contracts.
Yeah, that's what I do. Contracts for the government.
I might teach people how to kill people.
Oh, okay. All right. But is that work related or is that just like a side gig?
Side gig. Hey, times are hard. No
Touche.
judgment.
Everybody's got to have a hustle,
Right?
man. Yeah. Yeah. The mortgage doesn't pay itself.
That's right.
Carmen, what do you do?
I also work with the government.
That's all you're going to say?
That's it.
Okay. All right.
Very good.
I'm kind of afraid to ask more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably better
I
that
would
way.
just
Okay.
keep it there.
Yeah. Well, Uncle Lou, I feel like if your name's Uncle Lou, you're good at giving advice. So I'm just going to go with that. Do you guys want to jump into our first story?
Yes.
Okay.
do it.
This is the case, and I'm going to give you the question first. The question is my wife guilty of being a bad mom?
Not me, the wife in the story.
Yeah, not my wife. We're not talking about my wife. And to be clear, this story has nothing to do with Kyoko.
That's right.
But the verdict you're going to have to render will answer the question, is my wife guilty of being a bad mom?
Okay.
My wife is a stay-at-home mom. Last week when I was at work and my two oldest were at school, they are 5 and 3, my wife was sitting at the dining room table when she saw a man walking down the driveway and going to the front door. He had what she thought was a hammer. He went to the front door and the guy was trying to get in. The guy saw her and waved and tried to get in the house. She fled the house and ran out the back door. She left her cell phone and Apple Watch. She also left our twin girls, 8 months old. They were sleeping in their cribs. She ran through the neighborhood looking for someone to help her call the police. Eventually, she found someone and they called the police. The police responded and cleared the house. Turns out it was a repair guy who was supposed to go to our neighbor's house and had been told that no one would be home and just to come in. She's mad at me for not being more supportive of her.
Wow.
I was stunned.
Deflection.
Yeah, a little bit. I was stunned when she told me and was surprised when she said she left the girls. She's always yelling at me about how I don't do enough for the kids, unlike her who sacrifices constantly.
I detect a little more of a tone.
Yeah.
I think so too.
There's some deeper things going on here for sure.
I don't think that is accurate, but it's beside the point. We have been having major issues in our marriage for a long time apart from this. She is acting like this is one of the most traumatic events of her life, which is making me madder and madder. I'm having a really hard time putting this one behind me. If this guy had been a bad guy, she would have abandoned our girls, all so she could save herself. Our house isn't that big, and people in the neighborhood and online know we have 2 little girls. I honestly don't know what to do. This happened about a week ago. I spent an hour on the phone with her that day trying to console her. I tried again that night and have been trying to take care of the kids and do all the chores at home. She's been focusing on what I think is a work from home job, but she is lying to me about it and trying to hide it from me. Other than that, she's going out with her friends to bars.
She's really having a hard time dealing with this.
Wow.
This guy unpacked a lot.
He did. There's a lot happening here. She does not believe in therapy and is refusing to go to marriage counseling that I set up for us online after the kids go to sleep. A big issue that I'm having is a double standard that if I had done this, she would have never forgiven me and probably divorced me. We had a fight because when we moved to our new house, my side of the bed was on the far side from the door that I needed to be able to stop an attacker. I have been yelled at for abandoning my daughters when I take a shower in the morning before work and they begin crying, or if she is sleeping in, one begins crying while I'm changing the other's diaper and it takes me a minute to finish. I totally understand this fight or flight and I'm not trying to Monday morning quarterback. I have not critiqued, let alone criticized her. The closest was when I was surprised when she told me she left the girls. Other than that call or when I came home and she was annoyed that we didn't have security cameras, we haven't really talked about it. It's a 1-story house and it's in an L shape. The doors are at one end of the L and the kids are at the other end. I don't know how long it took for her to get help. It's a walkable neighborhood, not in the country somewhere. I'm currently in therapy. She has mocked me in the past for going to therapy and uses that as a way to invalidate my opinions. What do you know? You're just a depression case.
Wow.
So there is no way she will see a therapist. All right.
What the heck?
Okay.
There's a lot going on there.
There is a lot
There is
going
a
on.
lot.
She's a terrible human.
You seem to have a strong opinion.
So
She's a bad mom.
there is a lot. There is a lot going on. She's not just a bad mom. I think she's a bad partner.
Yeah.
And really, like,
Yeah.
there are lots of red flags that you raised. Almost so many that I couldn't even.
It's a
make
little
mental,
overwhelming, right?
Make a mental note of it.
Yes.
Right.
Let's try to unpack it. So problem number 1 is she's at home taking care of the kids. He's at work. Stranger comes up to the door with a hammer. She gets scared, bails out of the house, leaves the kids behind.
Yeah.
I understand different people have different reactions. That's not our house. It's like, Alexa, get the attack Roomba. Play Let the Bodies Hit the Floor. Mom,
Yeah.
grabbing whatever weapon.
All right.
With my fist.
Wow. You got automated
got a plan.
chaos.
She's thought about this.
It's like, this is the moment I've been waiting for. No, I mean, but really, I would do whatever I had to do to protect my kids, which does not involve me leaving the house.
Yeah, we're kind of different in this house. You know, we hear stories about that, and we've talked about this sort of thing, and it's a little tough to understand. I guess some people would have room in the discussion for this fight or flight sort of reaction, but to me, that only justifies maybe the first, second or two of your reaction. At what point are you running through the neighborhood 2 blocks later,
Leaving your kids?
And reality kind of sits in, and you're like, oh, I left my 8-month-old kids behind.
Jeez.
Is that still fight or flight?
No.
Or is that just you being a crappy person?
I mean, my response to that is it's like 99% fight.
Yeah.
And then maybe 1% I would try to bail out. Not in this situation, but I'm just talking like in general.
Yeah.
But most of us reasonable people have a mechanism inside our head that go, why is that repairman? He might have a hammer, but he probably has like a uniform. Like we need some other information.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It
Why
doesn't-
is this guy trying to get in my door? Because, for me, and obviously I'm different than, I have.
Your Uncle Lou.
Yeah, I'm Uncle Lou, right? I'm 6'2", I'm, 200 and a lot of pounds.
Yeah.
And
I guessed about 185.
and yeah, well, you were close. Yeah. You only had one number wrong. My first response is to open up the door and say, hey, can I help you?
Yeah, that jumped out too, because I thought, this guy isn't like banging the door down. There's no reference of him, damaging the door. She can see through the door, so I assume there's a window there, and it sounds like he could definitely be a lot more assertive if he's trying to gain entry into the house. So I didn't really get that out of it.
So I'm going back. Okay, why is she skittish like this, right?
Okay.
And are there like past traumas going on? And then, some of that kind of leads into this other shit that got unpacked.
Right.
Like, it sounds like mom's got some problems.
Yeah.
A lot.
And they need to get dealt with.
Yeah.
Well, and she's not a new mom.
No,
there was
there's
already
other kids.
2 older ones that
Yeah.
were at school. So by then, you're already a mom. Stay at home. I mean, a normal person would already run scenarios through their head to be prepared. I know. I constantly do.
Is that normal? Because we do that all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all the time.
Well, I think so.
Yeah, I think it is.
I
Yeah.
mean, I always, maybe not the younger kids, but I always tell my kids, like, okay, what are you going to do if you're on the, on this levee road and you go off like into the water? What are you going to
Sure,
do? Like,
sure.
And those are scenarios I always have, especially when I was a single mom for a long time.
Okay.
So I had 3 boys with me, and they were much younger, and until obviously I met Uncle Lou.
Right.
And but yes, there's always, I'm constantly running scenarios, or even like now with everything going on in this crazy world, it's like, okay, what are you going to do if this happens? Where are you going to go? What do you, and I'm constantly like, I tell the kids like, okay, if this is going on, what are you guys going to do?
Right.
Or like all the shootings, and even the older kids, because
Sure.
obviously it happens to everybody.
Yeah.
Nobody's excluded from that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. So
It blows my mind
yeah.
that the cops cleared the house. So what that says is she ran until she could find somebody to call the cops. And then the cops responded, however long that takes, and then cleared the house before she went back to the house.
Yeah. No.
Oh, God.
That's crazy. Yeah,
and-
divorce.
I
Goodbye.
just...
Like on that alone, not even all that other abuse.
Yeah,
that
and then
she's
the other
doing.
stuff starts, right? Like it sounds, I don't, and of course the husband's writing his side of things, but he's saying, he's trying to get therapy for both of them, and he's pursuing therapy on his own, and all this stuff, which generally we should support. And she doesn't want to participate in it at all. And then she's got like some secret stuff going on at nighttime. And
Yeah.
it sounds like she's saying she's working, but going to a bar, or
I don't know.
Yeah. It's a dysfunctional relationship, to say the very least.
Yeah.
Very dysfunctional.
But I don't mean to be the producer of your show here, but maybe we should be talking about the therapist here, because I mean, after all that shit that we just heard, like the therapist isn't telling this guy, hey, like you need to take care of your own mental health here and get the hell out of there.
Yeah, like you can't fix her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, maybe therapists don't do that. Like they don't just say, hey, get the fuck out, dude. I don't care if it's cheaper to keep her, whatever
Cheaper to
you're paying.
keep
It's worth preserving your mental health.
Well, why is he still there after all that?
Because they have kids together, and I think he sounds sounds a little bit more, and I'm reading way into this, but he sounds a little bit more like the person that's going to try to hang on and fix things.
Well, getting them therapy or trying to is a telltale sign that he does want to work through it, or at least try to, and he does love and care about her. And it sounds like they were having these marital issues far before she decided to abandon her kids.
This was not problem one.
No.
This was not the first time they had an issue,
but,
for sure.
At least he's taking a second look now, despite that. I don't know why it's taking him so long. Like, I get it, I guess. If you've been with somebody for a while, you've got all those kids, there's a lot more to think about, but it would have been an easy decision for me.
It's not worth it.
No.
Yeah, I think
Someone needs to tell him, if the kids weren't involved, would you still want to work on it?
Exactly.
I heard that
because that's
before.
probably,
Yeah.
Yeah. So is there any space here? And Uncle Lou, you kind of touched on it, but is there any space here for, she's had a lot of trauma and this was just the best reaction she could come up with and she panicked and left? Or is this one of those situations where, there's no space for that? If you think that somebody's breaking into the house and you think that you're going to die and your 2 babies are in there, this might be your last day. I mean, sometimes you got to suit up to lose. This is your job as a parent. Running away from that situation and leaving your kids behind is just never acceptable, regardless of what you've been exposed to. Is there any space to justify her behavior?
Not with the kids being considered. I think there are a million ways you could go about that. If it's even, she knew there was a hammer. So if it's just a hammer, take your ass in the room, lock the door, like barricade it with the freaking dresser, like anything. Let that adrenaline kick in. Suit up to lose. I know if I suit up to lose, somebody else is losing too.
Yeah, they're gonna know. They're gonna look like they were in a fight.
Yeah. So to me, with the kids, no, that's not an acceptable response. But if you're home alone or there's a dog there, bail out. Yeah, by all means.
Yeah,
it's self-preservation.
And it's tough to answer, right? Because if I'm the guy with the hammer and I see Uncle Lou on the other side of the door, I might change my plan,
right?
But if I see, somebody else, a mom that's at home, I'm not trying to single either one of you out because I think you're both worthy adversaries. You both look like you're a little crazy.
I don't just look this way.
I'm not necessarily saying you'd be an easier target.
Gonna make that clear.
But if I had to fight somebody,
agree with you.
If I had to fight somebody at this table, my first pick would not be Uncle Lou.
Right. Well, yeah,
Okay.
of course.
So then I want to hear the answer a little bit more from your perspectives. Put yourself in this situation. You're home alone. You have 2 kids. They're babies, right? I think, did we say 8 months old? Like
Yes.
they're little. Okay. So they can't even move on their own.
I want to stop you right
No,
there.
go ahead.
Like, if you leave and somebody really has those intentions, like those little babies are as good as dead.
100%.
And
That's my thought too.
Yeah. So
You
but
can't.
give me your train of thought. This is you. You hear some commotion at the front door. You look out there. There's a guy holding a hammer, and for whatever reason, the math adds up to him looking menacing. And let's say this isn't a repairman. Let's give her the benefit of the doubt of saying she really believed that this person was going to force their way into the house with this hammer and, start hitting her and all those things.
I mean, it's a fucking hammer. It's going to at least take a couple of minutes. She had enough time to be like, hey, what are you doing here? That would have been a great plan A. Like, let's ask what this person's even doing here. You'd be like, oh, isn't this the Smith house? I'm here to do repairs. She'd be like, no, that's next door.
So that's you. You're going to be like, what are you doing here, stranger?
Yes.
Okay.
If I just see somebody with a hammer, I was like, attack is not going to be my first thought process of somebody in the middle of the day having a hammer at my front door looking like
I don't like Mario or Luigi.
Exactly.
Like in my head, I
Ralph.
picture a guy in overalls, maybe with a Leatherman on his
Fix it,
side.
Felix, that's what I was thinking.
Maybe
yeah.
maybe there's a toolbox in the background
Yeah.
or something. But yeah, so you're gonna maybe observe a little bit more, figure out why he's there, kind of a thing.
Absolutely. And if I felt threatened, let's say it's this scenario where I've got, little babies in the house.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm the first course of contact, I'm going to grab whatever I can as a weapon and then handle the situation as it needs to be handled. With 8 months old, I'm assuming they were in some sort of pack and play, like they weren't just free roaming the house. Sounds like they were down for a nap. But there have been plenty of scenarios where it's like, oh, I thought I heard something. I would go lock and close the door where the kids were and clear the house. I know I'm different. Not everybody's built like me. That's fine. But like for me personally, there's no space for, oh, I've had scary trauma. Like, too bad. Suck it up. Like, you have kids now. You need to put that away.
Yeah.
Protect them.
All right, Carmen, guy with the hammer is breaking the door down. Like, he is not a repairman. He is, you know what people look like that are spun out. He's that guy that just happens to have gotten a hammer somewhere. He's banging on the front door like he's going to break it down, come in and do harm. What's your play?
Well, definitely Mama Bear's going down with the fight.
That's right.
There's no question about that. It kind of happened a year ago, and he was 19. So
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, yikes.
All right, what do you got?
with bigger than Uncle Lou.
Bigger than
Uncle Lou wasn't present.
Okay.
Uncle Lou was not present, and it was actually kind of scary. But that's not what I thought about. That's not what ran through my head. So
You had somebody like show up to your house?
it was down the street.
Okay.
It was he jumped out of his car, went up to my window, was just road rage like crazy.
Okay.
Oh.
And I had my oldest with me, and I'm telling him, do not get out. Let him be crazy. Let him go.
Why did he
blocked us-
pick your house?
No, we were on the road. We had just left my house. He was our neighbor, one of our neighbors that we
Okay.
still drive by. I mean, it's a really long story.
Yeah, sure.
But anyways, my instant reaction at first was to be calm and tame, because you never know what people have. We didn't have
Right.
anything. And then he blocked us in again, and I wasn't having it. Like at that time, size and gender does not matter.
Right.
Yeah. My saying is, I will hurt myself trying to hurt you. Like, don't
Well, I
don't
think
come
I
at
tore
me.
my rotator cuff.
Oh, dang.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he was
Got
like,
some lasting medical issues.
Wow.
This one.
All right. Well, that
like,
shows
what,
effort.
6'4", 6'5",
Wow.
like 320.
Yeah.
But he was way bigger than.
He was bigger than Uncle Lou.
Bigger than Uncle
crazy.
Lou.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's pissed.
Yeah. So
Yeah, and-
I had to jump on him, like
You physically tried to
oh
take
my
him
God,
on?
yes, I did. Do
you have a Ring camera or anything?
I do have a video.
Do you?
Oh, dang. What, that is
Wow.
that is crazy.
It
We'll
was
show that
from-
offline.
That is
Yeah.
wild.
It was from witnesses.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
luckily for phones and everything nowadays,
Okay.
right? But going back to the story, yeah.
yeah, so
That
you're
was
not just saying it. You're
yeah.
not just saying, you're doing
You're
it.
living it.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. But
There-
of course,
Go
you
ahead.
know, if he's already at the door, breaking down the door,
Yeah.
I mean, first reaction would be like, what the hell are you doing? Like,
Right.
who are you? And then,
Right.
you know, at that point, if it's fighting or, you know, trying to clear up some miscommunication there on the wrong address, then that's different. But absolutely, you don't leave your kids, especially
No.
when they're helpless.
There's two options, right? There's stop the threat or extract the other potential victims that I'm responsible
Right.
for.
Yeah, that's
Right.
okay.
Those are-
Pick up the
those are the-
babies and leave.
Yeah, if you can outrun this person and you can, like, you know, double arm your two little 8-month-old kids and maybe get to the
yeah.
house next door or something.
Even if you can't outrun them, if you can get
Out of the
out
house.
in the street and
Right.
scream bloody
Well, it's
murder,
a one
like-
story.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they could just jump out the window, you know,
Sure.
block it like
Oh,
you
yeah, that's a good
mentioned,
point.
and
Yeah.
it's a one-story house. Jump out the window.
So there's no way all four of us, any one of us, can come up with a circumstance where it would be okay for her to leave the kids while she runs out of the house.
No.
I don't.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I hate to call anybody irredeemable.
Yeah.
but, I mean, you leave your 8-month-old kids there, like they don't have a chance.
Yeah.
They will never
No.
have a chance.
No.
If you leave them there, they would at least, even if it's a minuscule chance, even if I'm 4 foot nothing,
Right.
they at least got a fighting chance if I stay there or try to extract them from the house.
Yes, sometimes you got to go down with the ship.
Yeah, and
I mean, it's just-
and to me, it's not a I have to leave type of thing. Like there are, you know, I do these trainings with the government agencies, right?
Right.
And one of those is the active shooter one, right?
Okay.
Like, so you know, they tell you to run and run, hide, and then fight.
Run, hide,
right?
fight, right.
And so, you know, if you got to hide, you know, and staying there doesn't mean you have to fight them.
Right.
And you don't have to pull the knives out of the kitchen. Although I'd probably take one to wherever I was going to go hole up.
Sure. Try to weapon up and find a spot. And
yeah. I mean, there might be some other things at your disposal.
Oh yeah.
Like at our house.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But that's a different conversation. You can't do that.
Can't leave those babies.
It's the one thing you can't do with the kids there.
Yeah, I'm glad you're saying it that way because that's something we discussed at one point too. That's just it's your one job.
Yep.
All right, like nothing else really measures that level of responsibility anymore. That's something you have to do. And if it's one of those instances you can't win, then you're just not going to win that day. But yeah. All right. We talked it out.
Nope.
Yeah. She's basically as bad as whatever those little koala looking animals are that throw their babies at the predator so that they can escape. She's just like right below that.
Yeah. I forget what those are called, but I know what
It's
you're
like
talking
Quokka.
They're cute as could be.
Yeah, it
though.
almost sounds like koala, but
I kind of love them until I see them like throw their kids at the predator, and then
Eat
run
the
the other
baby.
direction. They're like, we can make another kid.
Yeah.
Let's just get it.
Get rid of this one.
yeah.
Oh man, that's terrible. All right, so Carmen, guilty or not guilty of being a bad mom?
Oh, she's definitely guilty.
Super guilty. All right, Uncle Lou, where you at?
Guilty, and I would like to lead our prepared response to write back to this guy and tell him leave quickly.
Right.
All right, we'll send him a letter. We agreed. Yeah, number one. Very good. I always like the drunk guy in the background.
Me too. He's my fave.
Oh man,
What's wrong, Eric?
I think it's time for a cheesy commercial.
Damn, I hate commercials.
Me too. Let's do one.
Great idea.
Wife.
Yes, husband.
Please tell our listeners how they can write into the show, participate as guests, or maybe even get free merch.
I'd be happy to. The best way to reach out to us is by emailing the show at mistrialbyfire@gmail.com. You can also send us direct messages on any of our social media platforms.
But why would they?
I'm so glad you asked. Maybe they want to be on the show, which could happen in person or virtually. Also, if you have a story or content you think we could use for the show, send it. If your material is selected, we will reach out and send you some swag.
And what's that email address again?
Our email address is mistrialbyfire@gmail.com.
Perfect. Anything else?
The only thing left to do is get back to the show.
And here we go.
All right, case number 2. Am I guilty of cheating on my boyfriend? Again, not me. Don't have a boyfriend.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you have to qualify that? You're married.
Well, when you're reading these stories in first person, it just feels a little awkward.
Am I guilty of cheating on my boyfriend with my husband?
I, 27 female, have been with my boyfriend, 30 male, for a little over a year. From the beginning, I knew he was jealous and I thought he would just get over it like it was a wound that needed to heal since he was married before and it was ended because his ex cheated on him. I've always had a lot of guy friends, some I've known since high school, and he seems uncomfortable with that. I thought it was no big deal since I hang out with them maybe just once every few months. Among those guy friends is a coworker who texts me regularly. As of recently, I have hung out with this coworker more to celebrate work birthdays outside of work. These are group events, and they don't happen very often. I have even turned down outings with this guy where I know we will be alone because I know it will make my boyfriend uncomfortable.
Oh, such a good girlfriend.
Is that the only reason?
That sounds like it. However, my boyfriend has been expressing his discomfort with me having male friends more and more. Recently, I had a very old friend come from out of town, and I had dinner with him. Again, my boyfriend voiced his discomfort.
What? What?
Is he not
So there's
invited?
multiple.
He says, anytime I hang out with a guy friend, it's low-level infidelity because I'm putting myself in a situation that can lead to more. He's never explicitly told me not to hang out with them, just how he feels. Am I guilty of cheating?
Wait. So he's never said don't do it. He's just told me that he doesn't like it. So I'm not clear if I should do it.
Well, yeah, and it sounds like she's just not clear if that means she's actually cheating. Like, it kind of sounds like she's not sure if this is one of the things where she shouldn't coddle him over it. Like, maybe he just needs to get over it because she's doing what she's supposed to be doing.
I see this as very black and white. So
Okay.
Oh, tell us, Uncle Lou.
yeah. Sorry. I'm, as you may find out soon. Yeah, that's kind of how I live my life. Very matter of fact.
All right. We're here for it.
Yeah, she's so he's telling her something, right? And it's kind of sounds like she's ignoring it.
Yeah, that's
She's
what I'm
like,
getting.
you know what? Like, fuck your feelings.
I see your feelings. Fuck them feelings.
Yeah. And so I don't think relationships can exist on that continuum, right? So if she's gonna trample his feelings, and it doesn't necessarily mean that he needs to be coddled over that issue.
You said tramp.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, the trampling of feelings it's no good. The relationship can't go on any further from that point.
So is that her responsibility or is that his? Because he could leave her. So why not leave her?
Absolutely. I think there's some mutual responsibility over those feelings, but also for her to stay, I think she has some added responsibility because he has already come forward with his feelings about it. Hey, I'm uncomfortable with you doing this. Please don't do it. And she continues to do it. So I think at that point, yes, you're guilty of cheating. If he's told you not to do something, if he's drawn a line and you're crossing it, yeah.
It seems
Is
like
he invited?
Oh, that's another interesting question. Yeah. Is he invited and is he choosing not to go? That's interesting.
I'm gonna say he's not invited because I feel like that would have been mentioned. It seems like a pretty key point.
Well, why not?
My interpretation is she feels like it's so insignificant. She feels like if she wants to be able to hang out with a friend, regardless of male or female, and maybe she's not stepping over a line that she believes exists, then what's the big deal?
Right.
Occam's razor, I'm thinking that's probably the most likely scenario is that, from her perspective, this is just a friend. She's not,
It's nonchalant for her.
Yeah.
Go out with your girlfriends.
Yeah, she's being very cavalier about it because she doesn't think she's overstepping any boundaries. But from his perspective, it's like, wait a minute, there's all these texts. You're hanging out with people from work, off work. You got a friend. Was it a friend that came in from out of town and you went and had dinner with them?
Right.
Yeah, an old friend.
Which,
Nah.
It's interesting. Okay, so there's two big points. One of them being the cheating aspect. If boundaries are drawn in a relationship, but not both people have talked about and agreed on these boundaries, and they're not obvious things like obviously you sleep with someone else, that's cheating. Like universal standards for the most part.
When you say sleep,
Well, yeah. If you go cuddle some other woman, we're gonna throw hands. Okay.
okay,
I was telling you right now.
okay, I understand. I'm glad.
Good. I'm glad that's clear for you.
I'm glad 15 years into the marriage, you've made that clear.
Yeah. So
you mean starting now, right?
don't make me handle you right now.
Where's that button?
Right. Yeah.
I'm just joking.
It's interesting because it sounds like she has not agreed that this is something that crosses the line. For example, if he were in the same situation, which in a lot of these circumstances, you could go, well, how would you feel in this situation? Sounds like she wouldn't care. She'd be like, great, go hang out with your friends and stop bugging me, even if it is a woman.
Maybe.
But he doesn't feel that way. And it is obvious that he's made that clear, like, hey, I'm not comfortable with this. Which drives me to the second point. If these are friends she had before the relationship, it sounds like she's choosing the friends over the relationship at some level. But should she have to?
You bring a lot of good points. Backing up to one thing that you said, I don't think it's as clear cut as if the roles were reversed, she'd be okay with it. I've often seen double standards in relationships where, generally speaking, people think because it's them as the center of that action that they believe that they're above board, but they would not let their partner do the same thing. In other words, if he had a friend that's a female that he's known for a long time, she would not be very excited about him going to dinner with her because he is not her, and
So double standard.
Yeah. And I think the bigger point is that they have not agreed on their sort of relationship contract.
Right.
It sounds like in a way he's being a little passive aggressive. Like he's kind of saying, I don't really like that. That doesn't make me feel good. But he's also not really drawing that line out and making it clear, saying, hey, I cannot stay in a relationship with you if this is the sort of behavior that you're going to participate in.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, going back to kind of an earlier topic, I think that has to be clear. Those expectations have to be set. And then if an individual in that relationship chooses to step over those clearly established boundaries, it's kind of on them, whether you agree with it or not. I mean, it's a relationship is a compromise. Not everybody agrees on everything, but you have to decide if the cost is worth
staying.
it, right? You have to decide, okay, and I'm just going to, pull something out of the air. If your partner says, I want my lawn mowed every single week, and that's really important to me, and you don't think mowing the lawn is very important, you're still going to probably mow that lawn because that's a reasonable ask and it's important to your partner and it's something that you're going to do. Not necessarily because you believe it should happen, but because that's kind of the associated cost in being in that relationship and it's worth it to you.
Right.
And I think everybody has those. You've given me lots of rules, and
I wouldn't say lots.
Just
like
a few.
literally 4 or 5 at least. And
Weird how they just met and they're like on the same page.
yeah,
And they're like, oh, it's just a few rules.
just a few
it's simple.
every day.
I encountered a few rules on the drive up here.
Tell me more about that.
They're secret rules. I can't tell them.
Uncle Lou's kind of like tripped up a little bit right now. He was very, very vocal up until this moment.
Let's hear one.
I'm the one that I'm the catalyst for this portion of the conversation.
Carmen's giving you the green light,
but you're
so
not
let's hear
driving
it.
it home. She said you can share.
It's really just me poking fun, but maybe you can relate to some of your own bad driving habits.
Yeah. Okay, I'm tracking now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm tracking now. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he gets told how to drive all the time.
Yeah. She tells me all the time. She's like, just because you can physically make a U-turn here doesn't mean you need to make a U-turn here.
Correct.
And no, but I think that's the point. It's a little weird. It's a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. It sounds like they're not very far into it because these sorts of things don't really happen in a relationship with clear boundaries and still have a giant question mark attached to them, but I think you got to fish those things out. If you're going to be in a relationship with somebody, there's deal breakers. It's not the same for everybody. Some of them are kind of universal, but again, not always.
Yeah, not always. Depends on the relationship.
Yeah, but you have to establish those, and then you have to decide if you're going to operate within those boundaries. And I don't know enough about her actual behavior to really weigh in too much. I mean, the way he writes it, you're kind of like gasping a little bit. But I mean, if it's truly above board, if you truly have had this friend for a long period of time in your life and they roll into town and you want to have dinner with them, I mean, that's not crazy. But I think if you're in a relationship with somebody, I think you touched on it, Carmen, why not invite your person to that dinner?
Right.
I mean, you can kind of have, if everything's truly above board, you can kind of have it all, right? You can invite your other person and you can invite the person you're in a relationship with, and you can go have this legitimate dinner together and catch up. That seems okay.
And it seems like that would feel a lot better for sure.
But is there something to be said about, whoa, that's a little overbearing? I mean, I'm an adult. If I'm not actually misstepping and doing anything inappropriate, are you telling me I can't have dinner with a friend?
Well, he didn't say you can't. He says, I don't like it.
Yeah. And the issue is she does it anyway.
Yeah.
So there's a few things
That doesn't
here.
get worked out.
He probably shouldn't even be in a relationship if he was just cheated on and he was recently married.
Good point.
So clearly he has some stuff to kind of work out on his own. And they're both young. She's very young. They don't have kids. They don't have any ties together. It's so early on, like you mentioned. And if he's not liking this, he shouldn't waste his time. I mean, I have boys. I would tell him that.
Yeah.
In a heartbeat. Like, don't waste your time. If you're not happy and there's all these red flags in your mind and you have some insecurities, number one, work on yourself, have some more confidence, and probably be single for a while.
Let's say that's not going to happen. Let's say this person wants to be in a relationship. Is there advice that involves, hey, why don't you make your expectations really clear? And, if they're not willing to compromise, then move on.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And I think Carmen
Yeah.
brought up a great point. He should be invited. If that hasn't come up yet, invite him. Start there and say, like, you can see the dynamic of the relationship. You're welcome to come anytime. I want you to be there, like spending time with you. I'm not really sure why he's not going. I mean, it doesn't sound like this happened very often, but if he's that concerned about it, why not just go see?
I mean, some people are independent. You know, some people are in relationships, but they still very much have an independent life.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know if the discussion should touch on this idea. It gets a little weird. Like if you can't have friends unless your significant other participates in that friendship.
Oh, it's not friends. It's friends of the opposite sex.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
There's a difference.
I wanted to flip this thing on its head.
Okay.
And
Uncle Lou.
Yes. Uncle Lou flipping it on its head. What if it was him going out with girls that are coming in from out of town?
I got to assume she's not going to be okay with it.
Yeah. I really think if we just described this to you as a dude doing it, like it's automatically sus, as the Gen Zers say, right? Like,
Wow.
Maybe. I mean, she really seems pretty.
No cap, Uncle Lou.
Oh,
No cap.
God. Oh, God. If our kids could hear you, they would just die inside
they'd
right now.
cringe.
yeah, they'd be like, cringe, quit talking, Uncle Lou.
Yeah. I'm trying to work bussin'.
Oh,
and,
my
I don't know. I
goodness.
think that's a food thing.
It is.
Yes.
Okay.
That pizza was bussin'.
Oh,
Okay.
those crumble cookies were busting. Crumble cookie, if you're listening, you could sponsor us.
Wow. Yes, but also I don't feel like she would care in other circumstances, maybe like outside of this story, but talking about this story and the way that she describes how just really not a big deal it is, these are friends. I think if he came in with the exact same scenario, like, hey, these are my friends from high school, you know, we've been friends for a long time, we're just going to hang out occasionally, I don't know if she'd care. Now, I do hear what you're saying, though. For a lot of other circumstances, yeah, the woman would be like, oh, hell no. You ain't hanging out with nobody without me. But I don't know if that
Like,
applies
these aren't
here.
isolated incidents.
No,
either. So
this is a
like,
pattern of behavior.
Yes.
Circling back to the question at the beginning of the story, is she cheating? I don't know that it's easy to answer that question.
Well, it's easy to fix your phone. Let's do that.
Which one of your girlfriends is texting,
Right.
Eric?
It's just a friend from work.
yeah, just a coworker. They're going to go have lunch tomorrow.
So wait, I
I-
want to know what the coworkers are texting her.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
But-
and that goes into what I'm saying, because there's universally accepted standards for cheating, right? Which is obviously if you have sex with somebody that's not me, you're cheating on me.
Or cuddle.
Right.
or cuddle.
Or cuddle,
Yes,
right.
That's
But
hard limits.
I think that if you're not making it really clear in your relationship what those boundaries are, then maybe it's kind of hard to call this cheating. You know, if you're going to dinner with somebody, if we know what we know, which is there's texting coworkers, there's going to dinner with an old friend, there's things like that, or if you're even marginally giving somebody the benefit of the doubt, it's above board. It's really easy for us to think the other direction, but we don't know what we don't know. Unless I think you tell your partner, I consider this cheating, then it's not cheating.
I agree. Yeah.
So those are maybe more difficult conversations than most of us are willing to have.
Oh, yeah.
At least in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel uncomfortable even
Because-
talking about this right now. Yeah.
No, but that's like a burn down the house thing, right?
Yeah.
Like you're like, hey, I'm uncomfortable with this, and if you keep doing it, like I'm gonna leave.
Yeah.
And then
And I'm
in
gonna-
most cases, everyone goes to their corner.
Yeah.
And then it's fucking on, dude.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
And maybe the guy just doesn't want to blow up his relationship, and he's trying to find a soft way to tell her.
So he's going to take it to social
and,
media.
And he's
It was her.
exactly.
She
He's
brought
gonna be like,
oh, she took it. Sorry, she
Yeah.
took it to social media.
exactly,
Right.
but anonymously, right? So
So she
there's
should
a
have said,
fine
is
line.
she cheating?
Yeah.
She's
There's
the
a,
one asking, is this cheating?
Yeah, why is she not
should have told
asking
us.
him?
Yeah.
That's why is she not going to him and saying, do you consider this cheating?
I think she just, and I'm not defending her, just literally trying to explain how she's feeling. Maybe that
Do tell.
that it's because of how he's not being firm about it. She's maybe second guessing herself, going like, but well, is that cheating? Like, I didn't think it was cheating. Like, what does everybody else think about this? Like we said, universal standards. Is this a universal standard I missed, where hanging out with friends is a no-no if they're of the opposite sex?
Yeah, I definitely don't think it is, because I know several relationships, especially long-term relationships. Like, I'm thinking of one couple that I know, they're both in their 70s, and she's always going out with, guy friends for dinner. And I mean, they've been married like 50 years and
Wow.
And it's just not a thing. I think they're both so very comfortable and trusting of each other that they don't really, or they're okay with, with
whatever might happen.
Yeah, which could be the other thing. But it's out in the open. They both seem comfortable with that sort of behavior. And I think that's the bigger question. If it's one of these not necessarily a universal violation of a relationship, and it hasn't really been clearly defined as something that is not going to be tolerated, then it's sort of hard to label it as cheating, in my opinion.
And the other thing is, they went out as a group, with the exception of the friend that came from out of town. It sounds like they went out alone. That's kind of a different thing. But for the coworkers, where they're going out in a group setting, not that she couldn't leave and go do something nefarious while they're supposed to be at dinner. But the reality is, if she was going to be sleeping with these guys, dinner doesn't matter. She's going to be sleeping with them regardless. Hard to argue with, ain't it?
Yeah, well, I think that's a separate issue. If somebody's going to cheat, they're going to cheat. The question isn't, how do I stop my partner from cheating? The question is, am I cheating by doing this? And the information she's providing is what we're going to operate on, which is, I text my coworkers after work. I hang out in groups with my coworkers. I go to dinner with my friend.
Longtime friend.
Longtime friend who's a guy. Is that cheating?
Because my partner says he doesn't like it.
He doesn't like it.
Yeah. So, I mean, cheating happens on all kinds of different levels, though, right? And sometimes, like in this context, the best hiding spot is in plain sight.
True.
And you say, hey, I'm being upfront with you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going out with this guy. Like, there's nothing going on. He's just a friend. And, like we heard that Biz Marquee song.
I was just literally thinking of Biz Marquee.
Yeah, like, I mean, and we're talking 1989.
Right.
Like, I was really 4 foot. Uncle Lou was 4 foot nothing.
Was that 89?
Yeah, man.
Man, I love that song.
Yeah, it's still a great song.
I knew it was coming.
There we go.
It's like kryptonite. He can't,
I
not
can't not sing it.
It's all good.
Baby got back. Ice Ice Baby. Just a friend.
I'm so glad I could provide you with that segment.
Thank you. All right. I think this is talked out. So we're gonna go into verdicts. So what's the question?
Is she guilty of cheating?
Is she guilty of cheating? We're gonna start with Uncle Lou this time.
Yes.
Yes.
Ooh.
Interesting. Interesting. Carmen?
Based on what she said and what she's provided, assuming, because she didn't give us many details aside from the few things
I feel like you're letting Uncle Lou down. What is it?
and it's harmless. I'm going to say she's not cheating.
Okay.
All right.
We got a hung jury.
Our first hung jury.
She's
That's
being
okay.
disrespectful for sure. There's
Yeah.
other
For sure.
things,
Yeah.
but
Not being
based on that, I mean,
right, not being a great partner, communication issues,
Yeah.
not being respectful, all that kind of
for
stuff.
sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
No.
I don't get to reconsider.
No.
But
I'm going to edit all this out. You're stuck with the decision
It's all
you made.
technicality, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I hate, right? Like
Yeah.
I told you, I live my life and try to be in black and white all the time.
Right. You live your life 9
And
seconds
like,
at a
is
time.
it cheating? Like for me, maybe a better statement is it's a fucking deal breaker, dude. Like,
Okay.
like if I tell you that I don't like it and you keep
Yeah.
fucking doing it, like,
Yeah.
I'm
What
out.
if you don't? What if you don't like macaroni and cheese and she keeps making macaroni and cheese?
You don't eat the fucking macaroni
Yeah,
and
you
cheese. It's
just
pretty
don't eat
simple.
it. But dude, Like when there's other dudes present in her life and
She's making them
where
macaroni
she
and
could be
cheese.
spending time with you or
Yeah.
making them mac and cheese. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be real pissed.
my God.
If she's cooking for him,
Yeah. That's next
leave
level.
that in.
That's one of those universal
Don't
things.
cut that.
I won't. All right. We do not support you making other men macaroni and cheese.
And to that end, you are not to receive other women's food then.
Yes. I
I'm
will.
just saying that
Like
you can't,
ever
guys,
at all?
that if you cannot, if a woman that is married cannot make food for a male friend, then why should a woman friend be able to give you food?
Because I'm
See,
hungry.
F that. You starve then until you get home.
She's a coworker.
If a woman gives you food at work, just give it to your coworker, and then they got it from a dude.
And then they got
Oh, all right. A workaround. Uncle Lou's so wise.
That's because it happened at work before.
Ooh, Uncle Lou's in trouble.
No, not with him. Not with him.
All right. This is our last one for the night. You guys have been really good, by the way.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You're very involved.
I was very worried.
Yeah. Well, I had high expectations for you, and
did
you are meeting expectations, but Uncle Lou is exceeding expectations.
He usually does when it comes to controversial.
Okay. All right.
He's got an opinion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Uncle Lou's like wise and very articulate.
Nobody says that at work.
Yeah. Well,
And I need you to come to work with me. And
okay.
We got to keep a low profile, otherwise they want too much from you.
That's
Yeah,
true. That's
true.
true. As soon as they realize you're smart, they start asking a lot.
Well, and he probably doesn't have the approachable look at work either.
No, he doesn't look approachable.
No.
Maybe it's the tank top. It's weird that you're wearing a tank top in the winter.
Did you tell him how you were a parolee?
yes, I did one of the.
Is this your Thursday night activity stuff? Is this?
No, we played Little League, or we parented Little League a couple of years ago, and one of the parents was a deputy district attorney from one of the neighboring counties. And,
Okay.
And I guess the look that I was giving off was like I was a parolee. Is what
Yes.
she thought.
I get that sometimes too. Yeah.
And she avoided me completely until she got to know Carmen. And then once she got to know Carmen, she was able to talk to me, and she kind of indicated the same thing. She was like, you really look like a parolee, but when you open your mouth, like smart stuff comes out.
And now we're best of friends.
Yeah.
I think
So
that's,
now
I
we're
think
pretty
that's
good
extra
friends.
funny because we're saying you look like a parolee and that parolees can't be smart also.
Yes. And, my experience in that context is that most of them are extremely smart and are resourceful and know exactly what to do in certain situations.
Oh yeah. You get somebody that spent some time in and they've done a lot of reading, because there's not much to do. They come out with law degrees and all kinds of things. Yeah. All right. Here's our last one. Am I guilty of overreacting? Is that what we're going with?
Yeah, let's start there. We can reframe it if we need to.
Okay. Am I guilty of overreacting? Long story short, we've been fighting over his porn use for 6+ years.
Wow, that's a long time.
We're jumping right in. And he has never stopped despite me sharing how it makes me feel. It also greatly affects our sex life because he would rather use porn than have sex/fool around with me. Whenever we do have sex, it's amazing for both of us. And he is so loving and tells me I'm incredible and I want to do this more, blah, 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 blah. But it's infrequent. I found this account last night after I was going through our expenses to make a budget. I noticed a balance on the card that we never use and found over $200 worth of charges from OF. OnlyFans. Ooh. The last one was about 2 weeks ago, and he said he stopped when I confronted him, but I don't care. It's too late. I feel betrayed and disgusted and embarrassed and angry and heartbroken and stupid and a million other things. He won't stop apologizing and trying to tell me all the things I want to hear, but I can't even look at him. How could he do this? How could he spend our money on looking at other women online? He keeps saying it was a mistake, but it wasn't just one impulsive decision. There are weeks and weeks of charges. Oof. He made the decision to create an account, add it to his credit card, make payments regularly, and never tell me
my
when I bring it up.
Oh.
I told him he's not just sorry, he's sorry that he got caught, and I'll never trust him again. Am I wrong? Am I overreacting? Is it not that big of a deal? I looked at every purchase and none of them involved personal interactions, but I don't know if that makes it any better. Am I guilty of overreacting? And then she put in some additional information. Let's jump into that. We have sex maybe once every couple of weeks or less when he's going through a period of watching a ton of porn. When I say it's an issue, he promises to stop and our sex life magically returns to normal. This is a recurring cycle. He has never escalated to paying for personal videos until now, though. I have begged him to try new things in the bedroom, told him I'm up to trying anything he wants. He won't take me up on it. The porn he mostly watches is women with basically the same body type as me, which is extra perplexing and frustrating. Yes, I try to initiate, but after being rejected so many times, I shouldn't have to be the only one.
Yikes. Wow, 6 years. I mean,
Yeah.
damn, that's a
They've
lot.
been arguing
lot of money.
about it for 6 years.
That's
That's a-
bullshit.
That's a long time. And
Well, it sounds like he just recently started paying for it.
so can I just ask where this
Uncle Lou, you can ask whatever you
where
want.
this person is, this unicorn is that's begging for sex? Like they clearly don't have kids, right? Like,
Yeah, that's funny. I would definitely assume that they don't have kids. I don't know. 6 years in, they might not have kids, or maybe the kids are grown or something.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's kind of a common thread here, right? Like everyone needs therapy.
Okay.
I think that's boom, like my starting place with that, right?
Okay.
I agree.
Like, are you saying she does too?
Yeah, I do. I think she needs to participate in that. And,
Okay.
and at least, at the very least, like they need to get on the level with their feelings. Like,
Okay.
like what are we doing here, right?
Okay.
Because he's clearly addicted, and now he's lying about his
I
addiction.
mean, is he addicted or does he just really like it?
It seems like addiction because he knows it's hurting her, and she's made it very clear that she wants him to stop. And he's like, "I'm sorry, and he's hiding. It's like all the addict things.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's,
All right.
And do we need to Google if porn addiction is like a real thing? Like, I think it's real.
No, I agree.
It falls
think,
under process addiction.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
I think for the sake of the argument, you can be addicted to about anything.
Of course.
Oh,
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. So I'll give you that. Okay. He's addicted to porn. Now what?
Okay. Well, I mean, he needs a therapeutic intervention.
Okay.
Period.
That doesn't
Okay.
involve the computer.
Yeah, that doesn't involve a credit card or like personalized videos.
Subscriptions of any sort.
He's like, if I can get a hot therapist, that's going to help so much.
Right.
And if we can just do video chat, I don't have to be there in person.
Yeah.
That'd
And
be
she's got to
so-
wear that sexy little outfit.
Right. Like hair up, dark frame glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be so helpful for my condition.
You're adding too much detail.
But
there.
right.
Sorry. Sorry. I'm ashamed.
But you're not. But Uncle Lou, I do agree with you.
Will
I
you
think
put your glasses on?
Just shut your face. if she wants to stay in that relationship, they're going to need couples counseling, and he's going to need individual therapy, and she probably needs individual now too, because she's going to be dealing with the mind fuck of the insecurities of being lied to, and essentially this secret in their relationship and the rejection. God, all those years and the rejection, that's hard. And
Yeah.
no
I'm surprised she's
pun
hung in
intended.
there.
Yeah.
I'm about to get in trouble.
I'm sure you are. Tell me.
Let me say one thing before you jump in that pool.
Okay.
Let him drown, Uncle Lou.
I really think that like that mind fuck is next level too, because he's looking at people that are like her, but not quite.
her.
But
Is
not
that
her,
better or
you know?
worse?
Like it's like, hey, I want somebody like you, but
Just not you.
just not you.
Yeah.
That's worse.
Yeah.
Is it worse?
Yes.
That's way worse.
Okay. All right.
I think it'd be understandable. Like, let's say she's a curvy brunette and he's looking at skinny blondes. Like, okay, well, I'm definitely not that. But to be like, this looks so much like you.
And that's
Well, because, she's literally saying, I will do whatever you want. Like, please just take me. And he's like, I hear you, but my computer.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, that's
My
hurtful.
iPad.
Yeah.
My phone.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. Okay.
And he lied about it. Like, I'm willing to go straight to it. It's the lying about it that made it not an overreaction.
Okay.
Because if she was like, hey, what is this? And he's like, you know what? I'm sorry, I'm looking at porn. Like, I bought some. I shouldn't have done it. I fucked up.
But that's
I won't do it again. Like,
but
if
that's
there was
not
a
the
follow-through on
behavior
that,
of an addict, though.
You're right. It's not.
If we're saying he's an addict, there has to be some level of acceptance for the behavior and predictable behavior of an addict.
Yes, but it's not
Acceptance. Not acceptance in the sense where we're going to live with this behavior, but acceptance in the sense where
be accountable.
she says things like, I'm never going to forgive him. I can't trust him, all those sorts of things.
Right.
But if we're really going to address this issue at its root and we're going to resolve it, then she has to at least warm up to the idea that if there is treatment and...
we're saying she's not saying he's an addict. She's like, screw this. Like, I'm tired of getting screwed over and not in the fun way.
And it also sounds like she talked herself through it, right? And she's like, I'm never going to forgive him. Okay, well, then there's your answer.
Yeah.
Like, what am I going to do? I'm never going to forgive him. Okay, well, if you're never
then
going
it's
to forgive
done,
him,
right?
It's done.
What are we doing?
it's a done deal. And I get it. And nobody would be like, you know what? Whatever your name is, Jocelyn, you're unreasonable.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you were about to drown yourself, please.
I don't know if I want to do it anymore.
I was hoping to make you forget about that, Eric.
No, I don't forget.
She doesn't. Well, I know that the structure of our shows is to just accept everything at face value. Mm-hmm. Making me so uncomfortable right now. But is it possible that she's not all that? Is it possible that the sex isn't that good? Is it possible that she's maybe not a great sexual partner?
He's not communicating with her, though.
Yeah.
But I
is
get
possible.
that. I get that.
But she's also open to improvement, which means she's teachable.
But is she asking those questions? Like, is she approaching it from that angle? Because it sounds like she's assuming that there's no issues on her end whatsoever. This is all 100% his problem. It would be nice if I heard something along the lines of, I've tried to ask him, is there something like, are you sexually attracted to me? Are you not attracted to me? Are you attracted to me just enough to where you want to maintain a relationship because everything else is good and you just want to have sex sometimes because it feels obligatory?
Why is that her responsibility? She's the one that's saying, this makes me feel uncomfortable. I'm willing to try new things. Let's have sex. I'm initiating. At what point does he need to step in and be like, you know what? I love you. What we're doing isn't quite working. Let's try this other thing, knowing that she's having obviously issues with this.
I think she's really close. I think she's doing more than her share. I think
she definitely is.
But I think she's missing a pretty big point in what she's telling us she did.
But again, why does she have to ask? How come he can't tell her if he knows this is her?
No, you're 100% right. But I think it's an easy question to ask and it's within her ability to do it. And if it's something that she's trying to sort out, it's a question that needs to be asked.
Maybe she doesn't even realize she should ask.
Is she supposed to drag his ass to therapy?
No, I'm saying ask the question. Do you like having sex with me? Are you sexually attracted to me? Because you're acting like you're not.
But what's weird is why are they having good sex when he's not watching porn?
According to her.
Well, and then he tells her.
Even
then he validates her. He's like, oh, you're so good. She said that.
She did. She said he said all the good things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
so we covered that.
So he's either lying or...
Yeah,
or he's being honest.
Yeah. Well, if he's an addict, if we think he's an addict, right? He's going to be lying.
When it could be both, maybe it is great, but he prefers porn.
Well, and there's that too, right? Because I've heard this from guys before, where they're like, sex is it's work. When you have a partner, you want to feel like your partner's enjoying it too, as opposed to just me doing my thing independently.
Getting your jollies.
Yeah. where
jackhammering away.
I guess. I mean, I know it's terrible, but it's real life, right? Sometimes when people have been in a relationship for a while and the sex is the same and it's not very interesting, then sometimes people tend to go off and do their own things. And sometimes they feel like that's not, an infidelity or that's not cheating because I'm not pouring effort into the relationship, but I'm also, it's not like I'm stepping out. And so that's one of those universal, it's not universal, but it's up there with universal where
there are a lot of people in relationships that feel like if they are not being satisfied sexually and it's because the partner is watching too much porn, that is low level infidelity.
Yeah, I don't know if infidelity is the right word, but I definitely agree that you're not doing your part as being a good partner in a relationship. You know, I think that you're not pulling your weight. There has to be effort in a relationship. Sometimes it's not all awesome for everybody, but sometimes you got to do your part. So I agree fundamentally with what you're saying. I think that it needs to be said, you know, that just because her perspective is this, I would just like to make sure that she is getting all of the perspective there, because, you know, she might find out that maybe he is attracted to what she looks like, but maybe actually having sex with her as frequently as she wants is not something he enjoys. And if that's what's really going on, they have to make choices there.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it'd be nice if
and
she
communicate
knew.
that.
Exactly.
I guess that's what I'm getting at. It sounds like there's not a lot of very productive communication here. And I certainly think that there needs to be mediation. You know, there needs to be a professional involved in this discussion at some level that it's so emotionally charged to try to tackle these issues with somebody when they go off path that we don't focus as much on trying to understand what our partner's saying. We get triggered by a couple words, or they use words in a way that we would use them differently. So we start arguing over the minutia. And sometimes it's a good idea to like get a pro involved that can kind of, you know, be bilingual and mediate, right?
Non-biased.
Yes.
Yeah.
The pro needs to start at his addiction though.
Yeah.
Until that piece gets dealt with.
Yeah.
There's nothing else.
I think that's step one. That's the most important thing. It's determine if, and look, I'm not going to say that he has an addiction. I'm going to say that he probably does, but I'm not going to say that he definitely does. This could just be something that he is just into this more than he's into actually having sex. And that isn't necessarily an addiction. And I think that's important.
Okay. Well, I mean, for me, all the signs of addiction are there, so I'm gonna call it what it is, and that's fine. We can agree to disagree on that. The bottom line for me is her trust is violated by his behavior.
Yeah, all that lying, all that hiding stuff, all the doing the things that she asked him not to do and made it very clear that isn't acceptable. That's all way out of bounds. Yeah, and that's a problem.
So they got a lot of work to do to get back on the same level where they can trust each other, where they can communicate. And honestly, like, you deal with the addiction, sub-addiction, whatever we want to call that, the bad behavior, and then we deal with the equality issue because he's already said, hey, I'm above her. I can go spend this money and I don't have to worry about the consequences. I just say, hey, it was a mistake.
I also don't like that every time he gets caught, he's like, yeah, you're right. I'm doing bad things. I'm so sorry. Like, he acknowledges that he's not doing the right thing and that he's aware that these are out of the boundaries of the relationship. And then he just does them again.
Yeah.
Well, and the fact that she's been dealing with this for 6 years.
Yeah, that's what crazy. So
I would have left after months.
So and to clarify, it's 6 years of him being more interested in porn than it is being
I
intimate
don't know how
with
she's
her.
hung on so long.
Yeah.
And then recently he started paying for it and paying for the porn, so to speak, through OnlyFans. And now she's discovering that not only is he refusing to not look at porn, he's now paying for the opportunity to look at porn. It's all bad, man.
Why can I say this? But why doesn't he get his porn from her? Like, we all got cameras in our hand. I'm just saying.
I don't know, man.
Like,
I don't.
It's not the same. That
but that's your person,
right?
Like,
I mean, I think that's a healthy approach.
Yeah,
yeah. I think that, but I also think that
I'll do anything. Okay, make a video real quick. I only got 2 minutes.
I don't know though. I mean, the bad part there is then he's just looking at a video of her for the next 6 years instead of actually being intimate with her.
She could keep going. Like, that show doesn't have to stop.
Well, are you saying that
he
porn
could be
that they
her
make is,
only fan?
the porn that they're making is them having sex, is what you're saying?
Them having sex, come on, dude. Like, do you need me to spell it out? Like,
I do.
Or just her
by
independently.
herself,
Yeah.
her like whatever,
Okay.
man. Like,
All right.
The imagination goes wild there, bro. And like, you only have to look at one website on the internet to figure that
Well,
out.
first off, I don't know anything about porn. But
I understand.
Uncle Lou, I am impressed with your knowledge on this subject. The point that I'm trying to make,
Uncle Lou is well versed in multiple areas.
the point that I'm trying to make is the porn that he might be watching might not be the porn that she's going to enjoy making, so it's
Possibly.
so at some level, like it still has to involve her at a level that she wants to enjoy. Otherwise, it doesn't fix anything.
I don't completely agree with that. We touched on this earlier tonight in conversation. I don't know if it made the cut here, but we're talking about doing things that are mildly outside of our comfort zone to please our partner.
Uncle Lou, why'd you just turn the lights off? Kyoko, turn the lights on.
It took a lot of brain power to get that out. So, like, my head hurts a little bit.
I don't like having this discussion in the dark with Uncle Lou.
Run.
But yeah, I mean, like,
I get what you're saying.
he could coach her through that. Say, hey,
Right.
this is what I like. I mean, he's obviously watched enough porn to know what the hell he likes.
Absolutely.
And like, let's be honest, like, he's a pro at this.
But it
point.
sounds like she's craving intimacy. And I'm just making the point that if this is made, it needs to involve, maybe the porn that he's watching is somebody that looks like her, like mashing potatoes with her feet. Like, remember when we had that discussion?
Yes. Wow.
So, and I mean, she could do that and that's not going to be great for her.
It's not going to be very satisfying
He
for her,
needs
right?
to,
Yeah.
he needs to identify what her sexual wants and needs are. And they need to find that middle ground.
Right, because he actually
Yes.
needs to care.
Yeah.
If he cares about her, then what she needs sexually is also important.
Right.
But-
yeah, I think that's all I'm trying to say.
I feel like you're under the assumption that like what he wants is like fetish level stuff, and it could just be it could just be her
No, I'm
doing
simply
stuff to herself and enjoying it at that.
right or not.
like-
I'm just simply saying
Yeah.
that's important. It needs to be something that she enjoys too, right? It
Yeah.
needs to meet her wants and needs.
Whether it's recorded or live, I want to see her having fun. That's
You do?
yeah,
You want to see her having fun,
absolutely.
Carmen?
We always,
Lou.
we always have fun.
We can put this on stage. It doesn't matter.
Again, turn the lights on, please.
She knows.
Where'd this pineapple come from?
Is it a banana?
Oh man, that got weird.
So it's interesting because there's a underlying theme to all this stuff, and it's like these people need to talk to each other and actually
Yeah.
communicate
For
what they
sure.
want and need.
That's the bottom line.
And then actually do it. Like if you're, your partner, if you love this person, you want to be together, discuss things. There's going to be deal breakers on both sides.
Their
That's why
joy
you
matters.
compromise.
Their joy matters.
Yes, your joy matters and your partner's joy matters. So love yourself and love your partner.
Yeah.
And don't love yourself so much that you don't love your partner enough. It sounds like this guy's loving
You
himself.
need to hit that
extra.
joke button.
And here we go. Because if you love yourself too much, you lose the
Yes.
desire to love your partner, right?
That's right.
I think that's absolutely right, and that self love can be expressed in many different ways. And staying out late with your homies, watching porn, all of it.
Running out of the house when your kids are at the house.
Yeah, wow.
I love myself so much. See ya. Good luck, kids.
Good luck, you 8-month-old kids.
I love me.
Oh, man. All right. So the question is she guilty of overreacting? And we went with Uncle Lou first last time. So, Carmen, we're going to go with you. Is she guilty of overreacting?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely. You're strong.
Yes, she
Okay.
is not guilty for overreacting.
Okay. Uncle Lou, where you at?
I am also on the not guilty train.
We have an agreement.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You guys are 2 for 3.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. All right. Anything else for the good of the order?
I don't thank you guys so much for being on our show.
You guys should definitely come
Thank
back.
you for inviting us.
Yeah, good work.
That's awesome.
We'll definitely come back and get some more of that pizza.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Maybe pizza guys can sponsor you. Or
Yes.
Yeah.
Any pizza place will take your sponsorship.
Honestly,
and
we're
food.
really early on. I would take Little Caesars at this point. Like show 1 or 2, I was like, no, I was bougie because I had high hopes. But, yeah, we'll do Little Caesars. You can sponsor us.
Sponsor
All
us
right.
in pizza.
Thanks again, guys.
All right. Thank you.
And with that, this concludes another episode of Mistrial by Fire, brought to you by Uncommon Threads. We hope you enjoyed it.
If you did, make sure to like, share, and follow us.
Also, don't forget to contact us by reaching out to mistrialbyfire@gmail.com.
We would love to have you on the show or hear from you if you have a story you'd like featured.
And from both of us, thanks again for listening. We wouldn't be here without you.